When speaking about surfing in the South Bay of LA County, I would be remiss to not include this name. Down for big waves, power surfing, solid humans? Then turn up the volume and listen to our next guest. I've known him since the 90s. Welcome, pro surfer Chris Wells. What is up, brother? Chris, you there?
Yeah, it froze for a minute. I'm here. Hi, Mike.
So for those listening, all my guests are remote. So we're not in studio, and we're trying to connect everybody up remotely. So if there's a little hiccups, that is what's going on. So Chris, bro, it's great to see you. Good talking to you. I appreciate you coming on the podcast and doing episode 9, season 1. Thanks, man.
Mike, thanks for having me, man.
So
this is awesome.
For those that obviously you're kind of like legend status in the South Bay, but for those that don't know, who the heck is Chris Wells? If you want to break it down, I guess you're born and raised in the South Bay, right?
Yeah, I was born in Redondo Beach, and I grew up in Manhattan Beach as, in my schoolboy years. And then, most of my adult life I've lived in Redondo Beach.
Okay. So I didn't know you were in Redondo. Right on. That may explain why one of your spots is Torrance then, right?
Yeah. A lot of people think it's Torrance. It's right on the border. Burnout. It's right on the Torrance Redondo border. It's the very south. Yeah. And it's, this is this shot right here behind me. That's it, right in front of where I live.
So Chris is pointing to, he's got a pick above his head and he's in a barrel. So Chris is this awesome surfer, pro surfer. And I'll let you explain what your traits are as far as what you consider your strengths of surfing. But Chris just pulls in these sick barrels. He's known for that. Power surfing, killer carves on the rail, throwing water, buckets, etc. So, anyways, I have Chris on because Chris is an individual who's able to take his passion of surfing, his love of the outdoors, and make it not only a lifestyle, a living. And most of us out there wish we could do one of our hobbies, our passions, probably as our income generator. Chris has been able to do that. So, and a lot of us have side hustles as well, but Chris has done his whole gig. So I'll let Chris elaborate. So Chris, why don't you take it from there? So you grew up in the South Bay, and for those listening, maybe in other parts of the country, I say South Bay, that is Los Angeles County, Southern California. The area is called the South Bay, and there's El Segundo, Manhattan Beach, Hermosa Beach, Redondo Beach, Torrance, and then you work your way up the hill in Palos Verdes. But Palos Verdes, do we count that as the South Bay?
It's funny. The Palos Verdes Peninsula, it's kind of like Hawaii in surfing. Hawaii is considered its own region, even though it's technically the United States. Palos Verdes is its own region. I don't really consider it South Bay. They've got bigger waves. They've got point breaks. They've got their localism. So it's kind of its own entity up there.
And I think you and I and Mick and a few others have surfed back in the day up there, some spots, but
oh, for sure. I've surfed PV a little bit, It's definitely have the great waves. It's a little different than here where we have mostly beach breaks, sand bottom waves. They've got the rocks and the points and the cliffs. So, it's definitely a different style. And they definitely get bigger waves than we do.
Right. It was Submarine Channel got funnels in off there or actually.
Yeah. We have one off Redondo and El Porto, that kind of channel, but I think they just stick out more and they're exposed to more.
Okay, so they don't get blocked as much from Catalina as you guys do.
Exactly. And they get the big northwest swells in the winter. So that comes right in there. Yeah, they definitely have their own surf culture there. It's well known for locals.
Oh yeah, hey, I've run into a few examples of that there. So, Mick Barber, God bless you, Mick. He'll tell you a funny story of us checking out a place called. Look, I could care less. The locals, these spots are well known, so I'm not giving anything away. But they are now. So when I mention a name, I'm not giving anything away. So we were checking a spot called Turbos and Indicators, and I had this high school kid and his bigger friends behind him sweating me and just blowing heat my way. And I'll leave that for another discussion, but it's pretty funny. Ask Mick about that. That was,
I want to hear that story. Well,
not to digress because this is about you, but, so when Chris says it's pretty localized in Palos Verdes, it is. I always surfed that spot with local friends. So I've surfed all over PV, including Lanada, but it was a small, crappy day. And I got vied that day. But I also, when I was a little kid, I lived in Rancho Palos Verdes. And then we moved further up in LA.
Oh, nice.
But anyway, so Mick and I are checking out these spots, and it probably looked to some local punks like we didn't know what we were doing, or we didn't know how to access down the hill and the trail and all that. So this kid comes up to me, and I'm in my 20s back then. I don't know, mid-20s. And he goes, so what the F you doing here? And you can't surf here and locals only and blah, blah. I said, brah, don't give me any of that crap. I've been surfing here when you weren't even born and when you were in diapers. I don't want to hear it. I know what I'm doing. Stop vibing me. And bro, he started vibing me, and I just lost it. I turned around, I threw my board on the ground, ripped my pack off my back. I go, right now, first of all, I'm going to take all of your big boys behind you and launch them off the cliff, and then I'm gonna finish with you. And his friends behind were laughing, and I smiled at them. I said, okay, are we cool now? And yeah, it's all good. And then I said, if my tires are slashed, if I have any rocks in the caps of my tires to slowly let out the air, or if I see any golf ball, pebble, rock come flying down as I'm walking down the trail, it's going to be a bad day for you guys.
They had no idea.
And I'm not, look, man, there's
to.
10 billion people that are more heavy than me, but I have a problem with people trying to tell me what to do when I'm doing something that's just good, all cool. I'm by myself, black suit, clear board, minding my own business, no stink eye, no vibe. And I'm just going with one other guy. I'm not bringing some pack of kooks. So anyways, Barbara.
That's classic. Yeah. It's,
go ahead.
It's mellowed out up there. It's still, you know, there's crabby guys, but yeah, Mick and I went a year. I mean, we were in our teens back then, and I just remember the rocks sailing by me as I was coming up the trail. I had to lay down in the mud. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. You know, this was another spot, and I'll never forget it. I've never had rocks thrown at me before.
Oh,
it was pretty intense.
Yeah. Cause, obviously you get hit by a rock. I mean,
yeah,
it's a bad day.
I must have been like 18
okay. So
back
yeah,
then.
I was.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot
back
gnarlier
then. It was way gnarlier, but yeah, we ended up surfing a place called Pikes that day, and I got stuck in. It's a gnarly reef. I got stuck in there and got pounded. But
oh yeah, that place is intense.
Barber was ripping it. So you.
Barber loved PV. He used to go up there a lot.
Good old Mick. So, and one of my friends, Mick Espy, bro, if you're listening, aloha. He grew up there, so I'd surf with him, Steve, Jeff Kolodny, Brian Abraham, a bunch of other guys. But anyways, so you grew up in the South Bay. Now, did you go after high school? Did you go to college? What were you doing back? Did you turn pro and then try to do this pro circuit?
Yeah. So I when I left high school, I was competing. I traveled for, I don't know, probably like 7 years competing, doing contests from, you know, we started out in the amateurs like WSA, NSSA. Then we moved on to, you know, back then it was called the ASP, but we had pro-ams, we had different world tour events. We had the Bud Tour. So I did that for a while. I did manage to pick up a 2-year degree and an AA degree at night when I was doing that. But yeah, it was just, you know, surf, travel, try to compete, you know, get as much free surfing competition as I could in those years.
And you've kind of been like the pro surfer, at least, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you're like this journeyman where you kind of got off the competitive circuit and just became a pro surfer and searching out the killer waves and having the photogs there and kind of made your gig that way, right?
Yeah. So, you know, the competition thing, it was awesome, you know, for the years I did it. But then I kind of went more into like you said, free surfing, traveling, you know, working with photographers, and yeah, taking a different route. And then obviously down the road got more into the coaching and the surf instruction and stuff like that.
So a lot of big names over the last 15, 20 years have kind of done what you're doing. You know, they kind of got burned out and it definitely, I think the whole like surf camp, surf lessons thing kind of blew up where there were surf camps and people started realizing that they could make a living doing that. And then
from there, it goes into a more advanced level into coaching, working with surfers, doing surf trips. So there's a lot of different levels, and it's not just the top surfers. There's a lot of, intermediate surfers all over the world who want to work with a coach, just like someone would want to work with a physical trainer or a martial arts expert and up their game, no matter what level they're on. So it kind of blossomed into that. And there's a lot more opportunities than just competition, with, social media and YouTube and all these different areas. It gave kind of rise to a new avenue for people to make money in.
And so you've been coaching, and I actually met like a lot of guys stopped the tour and they end up being like these journey freelance surfers and just doing for photos and ads and sponsors that way, which it seems like, like the Dan Reynolds, the Kalani Robs, oh my gosh, what's his face in Ventura? Bobby Martinez, those kind of guys. And obviously I'm missing probably 30 different other rippers, but Rob Machado,
a lot of those guys work with companies. The competition, back in the day that was like one avenue, and then it kind of changed and people saw, there's a lot of different types of surfers, different classes, longboarding, shortboarding, specialty boards, all different types of, big wave surfers, toe surfers. There's so many different, avenues within the surfing thing. The foamy guys like Jamie O'Brien and Kalani Robb kind of went the foamy way. But yeah, there's a lot of different avenues, fortunately, for people to work in surfing.
Well, hey, awesome. And it's amazing how many freaking people are in the water now. So, and you mentioned,
it's insane. It's insane. I think in COVID, they said 2.6 million new surfers, which, it's okay. For some people, the industry's making more money, but at the same time, the spots are out of control. And the etiquette's been thrown out the window.
Yeah. Like when you and I were surfing Grom days, there were days I would paddle out. I'm like, oh my God, so-and-so's out in the water. Ugh. And then I'm going to go paddle further down or I'm just going to try and catch whatever waves I can get. And if they suck, they suck. I don't care. I just want to surf. But, there were guys that were, it was hardcore back in the day,
It was hardcore. You had to earn your spot in the lineup, and I look at videos of Pipeline now and I can't imagine the local guys. There's 60 guys packed in there on the peak. You know what I mean? It's like, and I know the local guys still get most of the waves, but it doesn't matter if you're in San Diego, Mavericks, South Bay, Orange County, it's packed everywhere now.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, but on the flip side, more people were able to make money in surfing, which is good for some people. I guess there's always pros and cons.
Amen. Absolutely. Yeah. I was checking out one of your comments, I think, on one of the online sites that you've interviewed, and you were talking about your dream would be just to get killer waves and as less people as possible. So totally. I think that's every surfer's dream.
And there's still spots. Yeah. We've been going to certain spots, down south, way down south, and in other areas where you can still find waves where there aren't a million people. But obviously with the internet and social media, nowhere's really a secret anymore. But if you time it right, you can still find the spots.
So kind of going over several things that you're doing. Let's break it down to when Chris Wells wakes up and he's ready to go. And by the way, I love Chris's energy. There's not a lot. I grew up with all this gnarly energy. It felt like an atom, just this giant atom ready to rah! And Chris has always been that way. Love him for it. Chris has so much energy and positive vibes. He's a great guy to be around and surf with. And so we'll touch upon that a little bit later, how you use that energy. But anyway, so typical day, you wake up and boom, are we trying to teach people how to surf depending on the day, weather, etc.? What's going on?
Yeah, so basically, I get up early. I usually wake up, 5:30, get the pot coffee going. Look at the day. If I have clients on deck, we're going to look for certain spots that are going to work with them. If we have beginners, we're going to go to some smaller wave spots. So I'm on I'm on Surfline app, scanning all the cameras, drinking the coffee, setting out the text, who am I meeting with? If it's pumping, then it's going to be my time. I'm going to take a few hours and get some waves. I'm going to push all the clients back and say, I got to get some barrels. I got to get some waves. And then, hopefully I can find a spot and get out there with some of my surfers.
So, and that takes some savvy and some obviously experience and time management, which is right on for you. So if you're set up, and do you have any? I mean, there's state beaches, but do people kind of know after all these years? Okay, it's Chris Wells. He's got his thing together. Do you get vibed or hassled by anybody when you're setting up surf camp? Do you permits, etc., all that crap?
So basically, like in LA, for having a surf camp, like a surf school, you need a permit, right? If you have the tent and the kids run around jerseys, so that's one thing. And they only give out so many permits. Now, if you just want to teach somebody how to surf or coach somebody, you don't need a permit for that. But you can show your little sister, your cousin, your coworkers how to surf. They can't monitor that. But yeah, if you have a large groups meeting and you've got signage and you've got people running around, that's a different deal. So that would be a surf camp, surf school, and they do need permits. And they're usually set up at a specific location. My thing is I'm moving around. I'm mobile. I'm in Huntington. I'm in Malibu. I'm in South Bay. I'm moving all around.
So are you you're teaching people down here in Orange County? Oh, cool.
Yeah. I work with some people at Bolsa Chica and Huntington. We don't go to the pier, obviously. We go down, by the cliffs, down there by Dog Beach, where it's a little more mellow. But yeah, a lot of people, especially now, there's a lot of older surfers, not older, but that want to get into it in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and they're trying to work on their technique and stuff. And South Bay is notoriously walled, meaning the waves are very fast and powerful, hard to learn in. So we go to some of these smaller, more docile waves, and it gives people who are just getting into surfing a way more opportunity.
Right on. Have you ever?
Yeah, and their learning curve goes a lot faster.
Perfect. Have you ever had a problem where, you got a lot of young guys out there and their testosterone is on full tilt? Have you ever had an issue where some dude was just and I'm bringing this up because I have a story for this. You ever been teaching somebody or a group of kids or whatever, and then some just piece of garbage starts vibing your kids or your clients, and you got to step in and go, hey bro, what's up?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think, like we were saying, everybody's so amped and so crowded in the summer. They're driving, they're trying to park, they're getting out there. Yeah. I used to work at this one camp, and they had a spot right there at Rosecrans, and, they were permitted. It was their spot. And I'd have little guys, 5, 6, 7-year-old kids. And you've got like a 48-year-old longboarder mowing through the area, almost taking people out. Kids are getting flung and running over people. I mean, it was insanity. It's like, dude, go down the beach. They're little kids. Like, are you that amped? You can't give a 6-year-old a little bit of space, So we'd have to sound guys. And, usually I try not to make waves with people. I try to find areas where it's more mellow, kind of getting away from the crowd. I don't take people out at Malibu or something like that. At First Point Malibu or Third Point Malibu, so I try to get away from, the really aggro people. But yeah, I mean, one kid, we weren't even in the water yet. We were coming down the trail at 26th Street, Manhattan. You've got the Strand, and then you walk down the bike path, and we're carrying our foamies. We got all these kids, and some dude on a bike, some biker guy in biker shorts, boom, took my kid out. He was like 6. He went flying in the air, landed in the sand. I literally wanted to snap. I was like, what the hell? Like, you literally T-boned a 6-year-old. Like, you couldn't even slow down. And luckily he was okay, but he literally flew in the air. And, it was just insane summertime, middle of August. These guys think it's a Tour de France. I'm like, dude, you're on the beach. Slow down.
Yeah.
So that was gnarly.
My thing that gets me are kids and dogs, and I know we'll talk about how you're really into animals and helping cats and whatnot, which is cool. Not to digress too much, but there's a quick story. They used to have this pre-surf school thing, and when I have 3 boys, and they're older now, but my oldest one, who's 24, when he was a little Grom, before he would attend Newport Elementary, which is one of the schools on the beach, like one of 2 in the country in Newport Beach, we would all meet at, down by Blackie's and 28th Street Jetty. and we would surf early. We'd be out there 5:30 in the morning on the beach, ready to go, paddling out in the dark, and we'd be surfing. Well, everything was great, and like from our second year. Now, I'm not running this. I'm just a loving dad for a son, and I'm helping the guys out, and another set of eyes in the water on the kids, and like you said, managing the surfers out there that are just trying to get their waves. And this dude paddles out, and the surf was probably shoulder high, but it was fun. And these lefts were going in towards 28th, and then you have the rights banking off the jetty going outward. It's like second base. This guy paddles out, and he goes, "Get the F out of here, you effing kids, you freaking..." And I'm like, okay, here we go. I got to step it up because I'm responsible for some of these kids. Even though it's not my clinic, I'm helping these guys out. And my son's in the water too. Yeah. So game's on. You mess with my kid, it's game time. So especially when we're minding our own business. So this dude, I'm paddling to drop in and take this left. He paddles around, does the stupid priority thing, drops in, and as I'm pulling off the wave, he purposely comes up the face and does this backhand swing at my face, just misses me. And he goes, "Get the F out." Yeah, he goes, "Get the F out of here." And I went pit bull. Like I lost it. I snapped. I just said, that's it. And fortunately, all the parents were very thankful. "God, thank God you were here, Mike. And thank you so much." And blah, blah, blah. Because I thought for sure I was going to piss off a lot of parents that were on the beach watching this. This guy threatened the kids. He tried to hit me. Then he tried to hit a couple other kids. So I chased him down in the water. I said, right now,
That's
we're
awesome.
on the beach. You do not treat kids like that. And he's just popping off. And he paddles away, stops, and his friend leaves. His friend was cool. He goes, "Oh, F," like probably, my God, this guy's doing it again. His friend bails and leaves. And so it's just me and him. And I'm like, "Bro, we're done. We're going in the water. We're going in the beach right now. That's it. You don't go after little kids like this. You want to swing at me, that's fine, but you don't go after little kids." And he wouldn't go in. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, "Come on, right now. You started this. Let's go." And he says, and God bless the McCulley brothers who ran it for a while. Sean and Justin McCulley, you guys are awesome. He goes, "LA boxing, I'll knock you out." And I'm like, "Oh, LA boxing. Okay." And he goes, "When I get a hold of you, I'm going to choke you out, man." And I said all this gnarly stuff. And he goes, "Oh, you Brazilian bees. I'm just going to knock you out LA boxing style." I went, "Oh, great. So that's awesome. I'll let Sean and Justin know, and I'll make sure to meet you up in the ring in LA boxing." And he just gets quiet. And I think at that point he realized he bit off more than he can chew. And look, again, I am no big deal. 10 billion people gnarlier than me, but we all have our limits in life. And even if you're gnarlier than me, I'll take an aluminum bat and go at your knees. I don't care. If you're going after my family, you do what you can. So anyways, I'm sure people are rolling their eyes going, "Shut up, Mike." So.
No, it happens. And unfortunately, there are cases where I see like some of the camps and the schools where they don't really teach them the etiquette. And that's why, privately, I always try to teach people, "Hey, listen, be respectful. If guys surf here all the time, give them their waves. Don't crowd up on them." But yeah, I mean, when people are mowing down little kids, especially at a camp when they have a permit, I mean, it's outrageous. I mean, but Redondo Beach has gotten to be, like, in the summertime, ridiculous. There's a camp every block. So there is some blowback because, some people they don't want to camp every block. You know what I mean? So there's a fine line. I always just tell people, be respectful, kill them with kindness. You have to. And like you said, most people don't really want to go to punches because that's commitment. And in LA County, if you go to punches, you're probably going to end up in the court system.
Good point.
You know what I mean? It's pretty litigious. A lot of it's hot air, but yeah, I mean, I have seen, I do occasionally see people go to blows, but I think most people just want to, blow some steam, yell, and then usually.
And for those listening, most surf interactions are good. It's all cool. Chris is this awesome coach teacher, and I just happen to be helping out some people, and we were being respectful and mindful and staying away from people, and because I'm teaching same thing like you're doing, like, "Hey, here's the etiquette, here's what you need, blah 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 blah." But this guy just went straight into us.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. It's like, you know what? There's one thing I've learned over all the years of 43 plus years of surfing is there's always another wave coming. Like, calm down. You know what I mean? Especially when they're kids. It's like, dude, give the kids some waves, give them their space. You know what I mean? I have kids drop in on me. I don't even trip on that. You know, I'll maybe tell them, hey, look back. You're not going to drive out in the road and just turn right without looking left first. It's the same thing in surfing. Look both ways, then go. You know, sometimes people are so amped, they forget the rules to look and they just go. And you've got to kind of sound them like, listen, dude, you know, I'm going to help you out here. You got to look before you go, and I'm going to save you from getting run over.
Good attitude. Very good. So,
yeah.
So where's the energy come from then? If you paddle out for like a 2-hour session, it's pumping, and it's taking down your energy a little, and you're ripping, and then you realize you have to be teaching after that.
You know, the older you get, you definitely feel it some more. I will say that. You know, sometimes, I mean, I won't lie, I love Red Bulls. Those things get you so fired up. I mean, I won't lie. You know, I know they're not good for you, but sometimes when you're kind of lagging, you're like, oh, I got to get out there. I got one more guy I got to work with. Boom, I'll fire one of those down. Or, you know, just eat healthy, sleep a lot. Obviously, I'm sober. I've been sober a long time, so that definitely helps.
And if Red Bull's listening, you got a good guy you could be sponsoring. Chris. And I think what helps, Chris, is you have this natural, in a positive way, type A energy that a lot of people do not have. I mean, you've got this ball of energy. Like, for example, I think I heard your bro talking about at night you paddled from Catalina to Manhattan Beach. Did I hear that right?
You know, you start in the dark. Back when we used to do the Catalina Classic, it's a 32-mile race from the Isthmus to Manhattan Beach Pier. But yeah, we would start in the dark and paddle. You know, it's insane. It's like 6-8 hour paddle. You have obviously an escort boat, and they, you know, throw you some snacks. You have like some liquids on your board. But yeah, that was that's an intense paddle. That was probably one of the most intense things I ever did. I did it twice. I was over it after that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I know some guys have done it 20 years. I mean, they're savages. But the boards now, the paddle boards and paddle racing, I mean, they're like, you know, they look like something NASA designed now. They're so insane. Back when we were doing it, they were like glorified surfboards, 12 feet long. And, you know, now they're 19 feet long. They're this thick. They cost $3,000. I mean, it's completely different. And I think of the guys who did it even before us in the, you know, 80s and 70s and 50s, I think the race started. I mean, those were like, they were doing it on spacely surfboards, which was,
that's crazy.
Guys were tough back then.
Yeah, that's gnarly. And for those that haven't heard about this, check it out, look it up, because you're going through this channel. There's a lot of big boats going through there, and there's some,
boats and
Chris is putting
sharks.
A fin on his head. There's some serious big locals in the water, several tonnage of locals in the water that, I mean, they're like little.
Oh, yeah. They saw a 20-footer one year.
That's a submarine.
Out there.
That's gnarly.
Oh, yeah, exactly. That's like an SUV.
That is one giant tonnage of muscle that it's just, you might as well be a slug on land, because that's what you are in the water. Your days.
Yeah, exactly.
That's just crazy. Wow. Anyway, so
yeah, there's some big fish out there.
Awesome. What do you have to do like a little side hustle on the side to help supplement income besides your coaching? Or are you all set with coaching? How's that go?
You know, sometimes in the winters, like my slowest months, you know, I just did this project with this doctor the last few weeks. I was kind of helping him out like a personal assistant or whatever. That was cool. You know, it's a totally different world. But yeah, so I've done some side hustles too. Usually, you know, there's enough work to keep me going. But yeah, I've done that. I've had a lot of jobs over the years, you know, bartender. I was a headhunter for a long time. You know, that was a totally different gig, the corporate 9 to 5. It wasn't really my thing, you know, being behind a desk all day. It just wasn't, you know. And that's kind of how I got into coaching and surf lessons. Was you could be outside, you can make your own schedule, you can make your own marketing. And there's so many people that want to surf that, you know, if you were, you know, it's sales at the end of the day. You got to sell it, man. You got to be out there. How much do you want to work? You know, You want to build your brand? You want to travel? What do you want to do? Or are you just like, oh, I'll just do one lesson. I'm burnt. I'm over it. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like anything. You gotta kind of grind it out. You gotta want it.
Well, it's good. You found your calling, you found yourself, and you kind of tried the corporate world and the sales situation to realize, yeah, this is not for me.
Yeah, I mean, I forced myself. I did it for years, and it would start pumping, and it'd be offshore, and I'd be like telling my boss, "Hey, listen, bro, I'm gonna take a little longer lunch." So he's like, and this guy had me. He's like, "What? Was there a swell? Is it pumping?" I'm like, "It's offshore. There's an 8-foot northwest swell coming. It's gonna be a 3-hour lunch. Is that cool?" Yeah. And I was gone. And he got pretty tired of that. The extended lunch hour,
Awesome. Yeah. No one, when you're fully in love with surfing and about that, yeah, no one's into that. So no, I had to reschedule a meeting once. This was been like, I don't know, maybe 4 years already. We had Santa Ana's in the winter. I want to say it was just, I don't know, whatever time of month, November, December, maybe it was October when we usually get them. Bro, it was 4-foot backs coming in at river jetties. And Santa Ana's, and it was 100 degrees. 100 degrees at the beach, bro.
Whoa.
So it was 100 degrees. Just killer peaks come in, cross mixed up swell down at river jetties. I mean, everybody was out there. It was super packed, but I got like 3 killer waves. My point being is I was able to get that day and then catalog it into my subconscious so it could satisfy me and say, at least in life, I got it. I got that day.
Oh, and that place can be so magical. It turns on, and the river jetties are flowing. The sand piles out of the river. It's just insane. I mean, that place has just, it has, not to bum the OC boys out, but it has its moments, and it's really, and that's the thing about surfing. It's like, you're in nature. It's like people who love to snowboard. A lot of my buddies, I snowboarded for years, or ski or, hiking. It's like a natural high, you can't, it's just, there's nothing better.
You just said something really cool. So my gig is I either have to be at the beach or the mountains. There's no in between with me. Desert's kind of cool to hang for a day or two, but I have to be in the I have to be in the pines or on my board. So, is that kind of like with you too? Or is there, cause there's this magical like spirit that I truly believe people have that it's the water, it's the frozen water up in the mountains. It's something. It's just like, yeah, that's me.
You know what? That is so true. And with COVID, I heard from so many kids and so many of the parents and my clients and stuff that they were depressed, and they weren't in school, they weren't hanging with their buddies, they weren't going out, and people were playing video games all day. They're inside, and when I got some of the kids back out in the water, because they closed the beaches for a while. It was like,
you guys were shut down.
2020. Mm-hmm. They closed the beaches. It was insane. LA County.
You guys were all coming. You guys were all coming down here,
man. Oh yeah, that's right. We were heading down to OC in Huntington. I remember this one local guy I know, the pier. He's like, "You LA guys, man, you guys are invading us. Get out of here!" He was just razzing us. We're like, "Dude, we're sorry, man. We can't even surf." But Huntington, those guys are cool. The people who run the city. I mean, they're way more relaxed. Like LA County's like, it's just like communism lockdown, I mean, it's getting insane over here. But the kids were so stoked to just get back in the water and be doing things. Cause it's like peace of mind. I think people realize the last couple of years, there's more to life than just grinding, working. There's like peace of mind. There's being like on the planet, being, on the mountain or in the desert or in the wilderness. It's so on the beach. It's so important, that you're not just locked into a room behind a terminal all day. It's not healthy. You got to keep moving. You got to be outside. And I think with like the outdoor dining, how people like down where I live in the Redondo Village, they didn't have outdoor dining. And now they took like all the parking and they made outside spaces. No one's in the restaurant. They're all on the outside patios now. And people are like, wait, we can't turn this down. This is awesome. And they're just seem genuinely happier outside, vibing, talking to people. It's like bringing the community back. Right. And you know what I mean? It's totally a different vibe.
Bro, epic. The disaster of the pandemic called COVID-19, because we've had COVIDs before that, but what it's done and how it like blackballed everything, right? And for speaking of surfing in other terms, And you know, you got blackballed, prioritized, whatever. But then they created these outdoor dining places. And I would always laugh. Yeah, it's great. And now it's really cool because if you go through, you know, Belmont Shores, Long Beach, or the South Bay areas, or here in Newport, whatever, there's really cool little community, like eatery places that popped up outdoors. The one thing I always laughed about, especially to make light of a difficult situation, was, okay, so we can't eat indoors. So now we're going to eat outside, but in a closed area that's just like indoors, but you're just on a parking lot, but it's okay. COVID is the smartest freaking virus out there. And again, yeah,
it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So that's another discussion, and I'm not making light of COVID. I have a lot of personal experience and a lot of hard stuff regarding that, just like a lot of people. So I'm making light of a difficult situation, but that is kind of funny. You know, you can't go inside, but we can go inside outside.
No, it is.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's the sun and the wind, and you're not as packed in there with the, you know, the ceiling over you and stuff. But yeah, I mean, seriously. Yeah. Or you walk in the restaurant, you have to wear the mask. Then when you sit down, you can take the mask off. And I'm like, wait a second. And I walked in one day without the mask. I go, yeah, put the mask on. I go, everyone in here's mask is off, but I've got to walk in with it on.
You know, 20 years from now, we're going to look down on this and just go, what the F? And yeah,
seriously,
bro, that's what I say all the time. Wait, COVID can attack me when I'm walking, but if I'm sitting right below the dude walking or gal, I'm okay. And then if I'm playing football and I'm tackling a dude and we're mashing it up on the field, I'm okay, even if the guy's spitting on me. But on the sidelines, I got to have a mask on. That's one hell of a virus, you know.
Oh my God. That's a good point.
I mean, come on, people. And now we really do know how to treat this virus and attack it and make people feel better. And you got to take the politics out and just care for one another. And I don't care what political jersey you wear, where you come from, who you are. You're an alien, dog, cat, human. I don't care who you are, color, creed, whatever. It doesn't matter. We're all human beings, except for the animals. And we all just need to get along and look at the common sense of this whole thing. It's just stupid. Anyways.
That's the key word, common sense.
Diving, I guess, into lateraling into animals. So you have posted some classic videos in the past where you're like feeding freaking raccoons and like these herd of cats. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's epic. So, and I think you have a couple, you have a couple cats as well, right? Or maybe more.
Yeah, so it's a crazy story. So, you know, when I got sober like 10 years ago, I'd had dogs before and stuff like that. But when I got sober, you know, one of the things was get outside your own head and help some animals, help some out. I met some guys that were like, help some animals, you know, this and that. So there was this like feral cat colony where I lived, you know, there was these cats and stuff. So me and my then girlfriend, we started kind of like throwing out some crunchers, maybe putting a little wet out there. And sure enough, it just grew. So all of a sudden the raccoons started showing up, the freaking skunks, the possums. Next thing you know, I have this tree in front of where I live. They were up there waiting for me at night. I'd come back and I'd be like, wait, there's a raccoon, a skunk, and a possum. They're literally waiting for me. They know cool. I've got the treats, you know? So I started putting little bowls up. I'm like, oh God, my neighbors are going to hate me, you know? So it just started. And then I started working with this. I used to go to Mexico a lot, south of Rosarito Beach. They've got a really bad feral cat colony down there. So we started going down there, do like trap and release. We started working with some people on the ground there, some of her relatives, and helping the cats out. So one day we were down there, somebody threw some kittens in a dumpster, just tossed a family of kittens. They were just born. So the lady called and goes, oh my God, there's cats in the dumpster. We're like, oh, we got to go over there. So my girlfriend went over there, got them, smuggled them back through the border. They were illegal alien cats through the front seat. The guy at the border opened the back seat, got them through. They became my cats. And one I gave to my best buddy. And then I kept two of them.
They're bilingual?
So
that's funny.
They are. They're bilingual. They're my little Mexican cats. And they, I mean, they're amazing. My whole neighborhood comes over. People come over to see them and stuff like that. But so I just got really into helping animals. And it just was weird. I met so many people through the cats and the dogs and helping them. And, we would bring food to these places and stuff like that. And we got a ton of these cats adopted.
Oh.
It was awesome. It just felt good, cause they would have died. They would have died 100%. And, my buddies were always sending me photos of the cats that got adopted and stuff like that. They love them. So I don't know. It was just a weird thing. I never planned on it. It just
very cool. Awesome. You got trash pandas and possums. That's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, raccoons. Let me just say, they're the most misunderstood animals. They're like little dogs. I mean, you got to give them a chance. I mean, here's my thing. You can spare a little food. You throw it out at night. What I would do is I got a little extra food. I'm put it out at night. They'd come. I had a guy come every night. I almost pet the raccoon. Like this guy became my buddy. And I was like, these guys, people hate on these guys. And they're just trying to live like you and I are.
Totally. No, we actually have them down here in our community in Newport Beach, actually. And they were here before us. So, I'm cool. I'm cool with whatever they're doing in their world. Although I came out like, I think 1 a.m. emptying trash, and I didn't even see this raccoon on top of the trash cans, and he turned around and went, scared the living crap out of me. I'm like, whoa! Oh my God! I'm like, you freaking!
Oh yeah, they can be ferocious.
Yeah, but they're just doing their thing. And you know what? What a lot of people don't understand regarding possums, you want those in your hood. Because what do you think they're doing? They're eating all the insects, the rats. They're like your personal pest control. So I got this family of possums.
Oh, they are the ticks, the lice.
Yeah, exactly. So I got a family of possums. Like, yo, what's up? We've nurtured some. My youngest son Blake was nurturing an abandoned one, and now it's just this female possum. It's got a full family with her. Anyways, yeah, wow. So
no, it's so awesome. You know what somebody told me once? And it always stuck with me. They were like, dude, the earth made animals long before man. You know what I mean? So whatever your religious beliefs are, the creator or whoever made them a long time before us. So that should say something. Man and animals need to coexist.
Yeah. Coexist in the sense too, to give each other their gaps, their space, and no vibing, So there's certain animals that you just can't get too close to, but absolutely.
Yeah, that's true.
Absolutely, bro. No, I'm with you on that one. So what is you're later in your career in life, I'm not going to say how old you are, but you're not 21 anymore. So you what I find really cool with you, Chris, is you still have that stoke for surfing like you did when you were a Grom. And a lot of guys, when they get older, or gals too, they get sidetracked with their careers, their work, their family, justifiably so, and they just may fall out and lose touch. I'm not even counting about relocating and moving away, but you still have this and just want to go out and kill it. And it's really cool, man, because there's times in your life that, whether health reasons or this, that, can really bring you down and just, kind of squash it.
Oh, for sure. And surfing and sports, sometimes you have, your ups and downs, or you go away from a sport for a while. I think, for me, there was those, like I said, those years where I was working, corporately, grinding a lot. And it was like, I always in the back of my mind, it was like, man, there's just something, like, life is short. You don't know how long you're going to be around. So it always brought me back to the water, to the beach. And it just made me feel so good. And then working with all the kids, and I've met so many kids over the years, and just surfers in general, all ages really. And that just made me feel good. Like you said, giving back, teaching people the way, meeting people. I've met people from all the world, who had no idea. I've had guys that don't even know how to swim, but they want to go surfing. You know what I mean? And they're so scared of the water, and they think it's, shark movie, Sharknado or Jaws or some crazy thing. And, just educating them on, hey man, that's not real. It's really low percentage chance of, something's going to happen out there. I will say occasionally get hit by a stingray, and that hurts like a mother. But other than that, you know what I mean? It's just, like I've worked with some wounded warriors after they came back from the war, and helped some of those guys. And they were so stoked to learn about surfing. And that wasn't anything they even knew about, guys from like middle America, stuff like that. So that seeing the stoke in other people's eyes has kind of kept me going in the sport and teaching and just being around the beach lifestyle.
Super cool. Awesome. Nice sense of purpose, Chris. So do you currently have a girlfriend? What's kids, all that kind of stuff? What's going on?
I don't have kids. I've had a few long-term relationships, over the years with different girls, different women. And, currently I'm not in one. I came out of like a, I don't know, 9-year relationship or something like that.
Oh, wow.
So,
It's a long one.
yeah, I mean, not everyone's married. Not everyone has kids.
Right.
I've kind of had a different kind of look at life and stuff like that, than a lot of people. And, I mean, if you are married and happy with kids, that's awesome. I've always just felt like, from a young age, I felt like the world was so populated. I always it just kind of breaks my heart to see what the humans are doing to the planet.
Yeah.
So I was always a little leery. I really didn't. I was just like, there's so many people. Like I drove the 405 yesterday. It took me an hour to get from Venice to Redondo. Just gridlocked the whole way.
That's ridiculous.
And I was just, I don't know, it's insane. There's so many people. So I was always a little leery having kids because of that factor. But then again, I've worked with so many kids in my job that it's,
you get that. Yeah.
I mean, obviously it's a miracle to have kids.
Well, hey, great that you recognize that. Sometimes people have kids to have kids and they think that's the thing. And then you end up raising not good kids. So, and that's your fault. But,
yeah,
good that you recognize
the parents
that.
who are like, they're not there. Yeah.
Well, that's what I mean.
Over the years, yeah, they're not there for the kids.
Right.
Like, they're out. We're either working too much or partying or whatever they are. It's like, if you're going to be a father, be a good father.
Yeah. Amen, bro. Absolutely. It's funny. All my boys are like, we're not having kids. This world's this or that. I'm like, my wife's like, you'll see, you may want to change. So we have the over under on each of one of my boys who's going to possibly provide grandkids someday. I don't know, who knows, but,
yeah, I mean, come on, humans are amazing,
They absolutely. And, you're one of them. So, who's another awesome pro surfer who's doing kind of the same thing, no kids, long-term girlfriends, that kind of thing, is Dina Cola.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Mike.
He's killing it too in the art.
Oh, yeah. Mike Dina Cola. So,
yeah.
I had Mike on.
Yeah. He's a great guy.
Oh, epic. I had him on earlier. I think he was the 3rd episode. And we went over his whole life and being a pro surfer and the tour and then his art and what he's doing now. And he lives downtown LA in this warehouse. And, but anyways, my point is you got the similar thing going on as far as the love and passion of the ocean and surfing and making a living out of surfing and then side stuff from that. You're a coach. Dino's this rad artist, but he incorporates the ocean and the lifestyle of surfing into his art. And there's other outside, He
does. He's an awesome guy. He really is. Yeah. His art's amazing too. And yeah, he's still totally passionate about surfing. I've seen him a couple times, here and there up on the beaches or out, and stuff. And, he's just, and I follow him on social media and, he's just an awesome guy, and, he doesn't have kids, you said?
No kids. And it's funny. I can hear him laughing right now. So Dino, if you're listening, what's up, brother? I miss you. Love you.
Yeah. And it's kind of a rarity almost. You feel like, oh my God, you don't have kids, especially where I live in the South Bay. It's just like a baby boom over here. And I'm just like, you know what? I don't have kids. And that's just the way I kind of looked at life. It's just something different. Might not be your bag of tea, just like we're talking politics. Everybody has their own views and that's cool. Do your thing, do your trip. And for me, that wasn't really my thing.
Amen. And so I'm just bringing to our listeners what your deal is and whatnot. And you know what? I've always been respect.
Yeah.
I treat everybody like a black belt until you prove me otherwise. And I treat everybody I've had my butt kicked so many times. I try to treat Pete over the decades that I try to treat everybody with the utmost respect. So, but regardless of what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, yeah. And I think it's sad that our country's gotten so divided. Like it used to be, hey, you could have your own opinion. That was cool. Whether it was like you were a lefty or a righty or whatever your beliefs were. And now it's like, people are like, oh my God, you think differently than me. That's so crazy. Like whatever happened to just like live and let
nice
live.
Beatles song. Referencing the Beatles.
Exactly.
Yeah. Hey, I'm an independent and I don't belong to either jersey and I just want common sense and it drives me nuts. And it's like, you either got to be this side or that side. No, bro, I don't have to. I've trained with people all over the world for 30 years and I've been involved with so many different things and lived elsewhere. My deal is I'm in the middle. So don't give me any of that. So.
Yeah, I've always been kind of in the middle too. I mean, a little left on some things, a little more right on some things. But yeah, like I think you said it, common sense. I think our country got so crazy left or right. It's just like let's just kind of like Rodney King said, can't we all just get along? You know what I mean? I mean, seriously. I mean, this whole race war, media war thing. It's just like let's just bring it back to like, hey, there's one race.
I tell people, since I've been fortunate to train again with people from all over the world in several different martial art disciplines, from my short tenure in life and experience, I've been fortunate to meet some gnarly people around the world, and those include men, women, kids, and we're all human beings. We all suffer, we all feel pain, we all bleed, and we all experience joy and happiness. So, like you said, Chris, let's all get along. If you got a difference of opinion, hey, bro, no worries. Just don't try to slam me and hammer me and change me like you. What Chris, what makes this world wonderful is we're all individuals. We all have something to give back in life. And that's what you're doing with surfing. That's what I'm trying to do with this podcast is we're trying to give back and have people listen and go, yeah, man, right on. I didn't think about that. Or, you know what? Yeah, that's kind of cool. I will be a surf coach and blah, blah, blah. Totally.
Yeah, you don't need to cancel me just because I think differently than you. Just because we see the world differently, we don't have to cancel.
And that's what makes the world killer. Because then, like one restaurant's Italian, one restaurant's Brazilian, one restaurant's Mediterranean, whatever. It's Hispanics, Mexican, whatever. It just makes the world better. And people need to stop. Yeah.
Thank God. Yeah. Thank God we're not all just a bunch of clones. And there's certain people, it seems like now, that want us all to be clones and be robots cruising through life, And I think that's sad because you lose so much of the different types
for
of
my
people.
sci-fi friends out there, they're going, well, geez, Chris, we already are cloning things. And look out, in 20 years, we will have cloned humans. But anyways, that's another stony topic to touch upon. And that's not this.
They're cloning sheep.
That's
I
not
know
this
that.
That's not this podcast. So, Chris, and then so getting back. So again, Chris he's a stud, great shape, especially for his age. And dude, last year, almost a year to the day, you won the Big Wave Challenge in the South Bay, correct?
Yeah, the South Bay, we have our own little surf region, and we're not competing with the Hawaiis and the Mavericks and stuff. But yeah, we have the South Bay Board Riders Club, and it's the surf club kind of thing, which was started in Australia. Now each region has its own club, and they do events, and they bring everybody together from all the walks of life, which is really cool. Really brings the community together. They have contests and they have awards, and every year they give out like biggest wave, best ride, worst wipeout, and so they get a panel of judges of, photographers, big wave surfers and stuff like that. And I was able to take home, I'd been a runner-up multiple times. So to finally get the award, it felt good. Kind of like I got the monkey off my back, because I've been surfing these beaches my whole life. So it was cool. They've got what's it called? The perpetual trophy where your name's on
awesome.
It and stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah. It keeps every year they put a new guy in there, and it's just basically promoting South Bay surfing. We're not, Hawaii or anything like that. We don't think we are, but we like to, honor the guys who charge every year. And, we have a lot of, history in surfing.
Yeah,
in the South
definitely
Bay.
not Hawaii, but there's some waves in the South Bay and on the hill. So since we're talking about your region, that will literally I almost drowned.
Yeah,
I almost drowned
sure.
surfing Wallies on the hill one year.
Oh yeah, that's where they were throwing.
Oh, it's Wallies. Nice. So
yeah, that's where they're tossing
that was a
stones
big day. And this guy named Tom Wagner, just epic, just trippy, stony longboarder, comes in. He lost his board and he swims. And he looks at me and my friend Steve. Hey guys, that was freaking crazy out there, man. It's big. And I'm paddling out like a 6'8", and I'm looking up and I'm like, oh God, no, it's big out here. And my first wave, it took off. And, you didn't have that. I didn't have that mindset where I'm like, push the tail, stay in, get the rail in, push the tail. And I got launched. And dude, I got hammered so hard. And I finally popped up and I'm spitting water out. And I look and I'm like, I got to get out of this section and get in the channel. And I look over and my friend's doing the same thing. And he's a hardcore
That's
charger
classic.
like you. So I was like, well, if it's happening, if
Oh yeah, PV's no joke.
Much respect to all you guys in the South Bay and Palos Verdes as well, but and everywhere. I mean, it all has a thing. Chris, if people want to get a hold of you for surf lessons, whether it's their kids, themselves, whatever, they live close to your area, how can they do that?
Basically, I use social media. I've got my Wellesley dog surf lessons on Facebook, my Wellesley Land Instagram page, and I work with ET surfboards, and they kind of refer me a lot of.
Oh, cool! You want to spell out Wellesley so people like me that are stupid can figure that out?
Wellesley Land, WELLZYLAND, and on Facebook it's actually Wellesley Dog Wellesley Dog Lessons.
Perfect.
Coaching. And it's under my
awesome. Chris. Any plans for the holidays, Christmas?
See the family. Hopefully we'll get some surf. It's been kind of a lackluster year. We're having the La Nina, which is kind of a smaller, we're not getting the big swells, that we normally do. So hoping it's been cold out, but we haven't seen any big surf, this year. We have a couple days, nothing too great. So hopefully we'll get something.
Yeah, that swell you scored, weeks. I think, was that end of October? You scored HB pretty good, pretty solid.
Yeah, October was a great month. I was shocked. I mean, we were surfing Huntington a lot. Huntington was firing. We had a couple days out front here in Redondo that were really good, and then November just went quiet. And it's been not a typical winter for us.
Yeah, no, we want more El Niños. So big swells and killer snow pilage in the mountains. So, anyways,
there you go. Yeah. Hopefully, I see it snowing now.
Mammoth, and for those that are skiers, boarders, Mammoth Mountain is pretty much where we like to charge, or local mountains, but I prefer Mammoth. No disrespect to the locals, but they're supposed to get some snow starting later today or tomorrow for the next 3 days, and they had that big dump.
Oh, cool!
They had that big dump last week, so yeah,
that's what I was talking
about. Last week they got close to after several, anyways, close to 6 feet. So yeah, killer.
Nice.
So, Wells, got to hook up someday, awesome. Bro. I know when you surf with Brian and whoever else down here in Orange County, maybe I can get in on that. That'd be awesome.
Absolutely, Brian's always up to charge. So, he's a great guy. We surf a lot. They always meet up at Huntington, go surf. You definitely have to. We got to get Mick Barber in there,
bro.
too.
That would be awesome. I think you were. I don't know if you can see on my left shoulder. I'm doing a turn off the top of this wave above my martial art picture, but that was from that epic day in Wainimi. I think you were in on that. It was you, Mick Barber, me, John Wander, and a couple other dudes. And that day was another memorable day. And that was the day we could still drive our trucks on the beach and then go out and paddle. That was an epic day. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I digress.
That's so great.
But yeah, it'd be great to hook up with your brother. So, Chris, thanks again for your time. Awesome. Appreciate your story.
Thank you, Mike, and best of luck to you with your
thanks, brother.
podcast.
Take care.